Hey everyone, welcome back to English Factory. Today we're talking about a phrase that honestly makes you sound kinda closed off. I don't know. This phrase comes up constantly. Someone asks you something, and your first instinct is just to say, I don't know. But here's the thing. Native speakers almost never just stop at those three words. They have so many other ways to express that they don't know something, and each one has a different vibe. Some sound more thoughtful, some sound more conversational, some show you're actually thinking about the question. So today we're going through 15 different ways to say, I don't know, that sound way more natural and engaging. Let's start with understanding why this matters. When you just say, I don't know, it can make you sound like you're not interested or you're not trying to think about the question. But native speakers understand that there are different situations. Sometimes you literally have no idea about something. Sometimes you're not sure, but you have a guess. Sometimes you need more information to answer. Sometimes you want to keep thinking about it. Native speakers pick the right phrase based on what they actually mean. That's what makes them sound natural. They're not just giving one-word answers. They're communicating what they're actually thinking. Here's the most common alternative. I'm not sure. This is probably what you'll hear most often. Someone asks, do you think it's going to rain today? And you say, I'm not sure, but I think maybe later. It's not saying you have zero knowledge. It's saying you're uncertain. For example, if someone asks, what time does the store close? You might say, I'm not sure, but I think it closes at 9. You're leaving room for possibility. When you say this, it sounds more thoughtful and honest. It opens the door for more conversation, instead of just shutting it down. Now, here's one that shows you're thinking, I haven't really thought about that. This is great when someone asks you something unexpected or something you haven't considered before. Like if someone asks, what do you think about climate policy? And you don't have a strong opinion, you say, I haven't really thought about that much, but it's definitely important. This tells them you're not against thinking about it. You just haven't focused on it yet. It makes you sound more considered and open-minded than just dismissing the question. Let me give you, that's a good question. This phrase is amazing because it does two things. It acknowledges that their question is worth thinking about, and it buys you time to think. You might say, that's a good question. I never really considered it before. Or, that's a good question. I'm not entirely sure, but my guess would be. When you respond this way, it shows you're taking the question seriously. It makes the other person feel valued and heard, and it doesn't make you sound dismissive. Here's one that shows you want to help. I'm not the right person to ask. This is perfect when someone asks you about something that's not your area of expertise. Like if someone asks a software developer about tax law, they might say, I'm not the right person to ask about that, but I know someone who might help. You're admitting you don't know, but you're also offering to help them find the answer. It makes you look thoughtful and helpful instead of just clueless. Now let's talk about I have no idea. This is very casual and honest. It's not rude. It actually sounds friendly and straightforward. If someone asks, where did I put my keys? You might say, I have no idea. Did you check the kitchen? It's casual and it keeps the conversation moving. The difference is that this phrase sounds more natural and conversational in casual situations compared to the more formal, I don't know, Here's one that shows you're guessing. I would guess. This is when you don't have a real answer, but you have an educated guess or your intuition about something. For example, if someone asks, how many people do you think will come to the event? You'd say, I would guess maybe 100 people, but I'm really not sure. You're being honest that you're guessing, but you're also giving them something useful to work with. This approach makes you sound helpful and thoughtful instead of just unhelpful. Let me give you it depends. This is useful when the answer isn't straightforward. It depends on other factors. Someone asks, is this job hard? And you say, it depends. If you have experience, it's easier. If you're new to it, it's harder. You're not saying you don't know the answer. You're saying the answer isn't simple. You need more context. This shows you're thinking critically about the question. Here's one for when you need more information. I need more information to answer that. This is really professional and thoughtful. If someone asks, should we invest in this company? You might say, I need more information to answer that. What's their financial situation? How long have they been in business? You're not avoiding the question. You're being smart about it. You're asking for what you need to make a good decision. Now let's talk about I'm still figuring that out. This is great for questions about yourself or your life. Someone asks, what do you want to do with your life? And you say, I'm still figuring that out, but I know I want to work in something creative. This shows you're thinking about it, and you have some ideas, but you haven't fully decided yet. It's honest, and it shows growth. Native speakers use this a lot because life is complicated, and people understand that. Here's one that's really useful. I never really thought about it before. This is similar to I haven't really thought about that, but it feels even more honest. If someone asks, do you like spicy food? And you haven't really considered it, you say, I never really thought about it before, but I think I do. You're being real about the fact that you hadn't focused on this question. Then you're giving them an actual answer based on thinking about it right then. Let me give you I'm still learning about this. This is perfect when someone asks you about something you're new to or still developing knowledge about. For example, if you just started a new job and someone asks about the company's systems, you might say, I'm still learning about this, but from what I understand, the system works like this. You're being honest about your limited knowledge, but you're also showing you're actively learning. That's much better than just saying, I don't know. Here's one that shows you're open. I'm not sure, but let me think about that. This tells them you're willing to think deeply about their question instead of just dismissing it. You might say, I'm not sure, but let me think about that. Actually, I think the answer might be. You're giving yourself permission to think out loud. Native speakers do this because it's natural and honest. Now, here's one for when you literally know nothing about something. I haven't got a clue. This is very casual and honest. It's similar to I have no idea, but it sounds even more genuine. If someone asks about sports and you don't follow sports, you'd say, I haven't got a clue about that stuff. You'd have to ask someone else. It's friendly, and it doesn't pretend you know something you don't. Here's one more. I'm drawing a blank. This is perfect when you know something, but you just can't remember it right now. Someone asks, what's the name of that actor in that movie? And you say, I'm drawing a blank. I know his face, but I can't remember his name. This is different from not knowing something. It's admitting you know it exists, but you're having trouble remembering. Native speakers use this all the time because it happens to everyone. And finally, I couldn't tell you. This is a very casual, confident way of saying you don't know. It almost sounds like you're being funny about it. If someone asks, "How many stars are in the sky?" you might say, "I couldn't tell you. That's way too many to count." It's lighthearted and natural. It doesn't sound negative or like you're avoiding the question. So there you have it. 15 different ways to say "I don't know" that sound way more natural and keep conversations flowing. The key is picking the right phrase for the situation. If you're uncertain, say "I'm not sure." If it's not your area, say "I'm not the right person to ask." If you're thinking about it, say "That's a good question." If you're guessing, say "I would guess." When you use these phrases, you're showing you're actually engaged with the question, and you're not just shutting down the conversation. That's what makes native speakers sound so natural and interesting to talk to. Thanks so much for listening to English Factory. Make sure to subscribe for more practical English lessons and real phrases that native speakers actually use. See you next time.